government officials insist that this is an isolated incident.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're out here in the airgun bunker, and I've been working on a few projects in this past week, one of which is with the Brocock Atomic. Now, this is one of 3 guns that went through the Airgun Survival challenge a couple months ago. And if you guys aren't familiar with that, I'll leave some links in the description of the video so you guys can watch those and kind of get caught up. In a nutshell, I put all these guns through some pretty severe tests, and there was quite a bit of damage to all 3 of those guns. And the Brocock Atomic worked, it functioned at the end of these tests, but it had a lot of cosmetic damage, it had a lot of rust, and so I really tried to clean the gun up and really try to restore it the best that I could. And so I figured I'd bring you guys with me through that process. Really, most of it was just kind of clearing out all the rust, because the gun did get sunk in my jacuzzi, and so it had a lot of rust, on the barrel, a lot of the bolts, and so I really just tried to clean all that out, and I had to do some sanding, some painting, and I think you guys are going to be pretty happy with the outcome. So I'm going to kind of show you guys that process, and then I'll bring you back and we'll see the finished product. The biggest part of this project was really cleaning up all the parts, getting the rust off. Had to do some sanding, and really the first part that I did was I chucked the barrel up to my drill press and I sanded it, tried to get the rust off the best that I could. I used some steel wool. I sanded the chassis, tried to get off as many of the scratches that I possibly could, and I did that with pretty much all the parts. I really tried to polish the hammer, tried to clean everything up, because really the most rust was on the hammer, the spring, and the barrel. A lot of the little bolts and stuff I tried to clean up the best that I could. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely a huge improvement to how it was. So really the most difficult part of putting this back together was the trigger group. I had to put it together, take it apart a few times to really kind of figure it out and get it right. There was 2 little springs for the trigger group, and I had them I had to swap them because they were slightly different sizes. And so once I got that, I adjusted the trigger, and I actually adjusted it much better than it was originally. So I think that's going to really kind of contribute to bringing some better groupings on paper, and just the overall performance of the gun I think is going to be just a little better. After cleaning up all the parts the best that I could, I really spent some time sanding the air tube. I sanded the chassis system, and then I went outside and I sprayed the air tube with a satin black, which I think came out really good. And I went ahead and I used a desert sand paint for the chassis, which almost looks kind of like a white color. It's a little bit lighter than I really wanted to go, but it does look really clean. Definitely changes the overall appearance of the gun. and I think you guys are going to be pretty happy with how it looks in the end. So I got the Atomic all back together. I'm super happy about it. I think it came out really good. There are a few scratches on the breech, but you know, I didn't want to go ahead and repaint the whole breech. I wanted to be able to keep the logos on here, and you know, a few battle wounds aren't going to hurt anything. The gun definitely functions as it should. I didn't have to replace any of the O-rings. The gun held air, no problem. I have shot it briefly, and it is quite loud without the moderator. I'll show you guys in a little bit what I had to do with the shroud here. I switched it around, and I'll show you guys why I did that. So that's one of the parts I'm waiting on, is the shroud and the dust cap for the fill port, which I think both of those were just about 70 bucks, and so it wasn't bad. Definitely worth it to get this gun back to its original status. The shroud on the Atomic is actually missing just about an inch, and that happened during the barrel test that I did on this gun. The tip of it snapped off, and so what I did is I flipped the shroud around, and so the broken part is actually behind here, and underneath the shroud here it's got a little spacer. And so what I did is I just made it go flush, and really this is just cosmetic. It serves no purpose to the actual function of the gun. The new shroud will go on here, and that'll allow me to have the 1/2 inch threading so I can get a moderator onto this, because it is quite loud with only the 10-inch barrel. I spent quite a bit of time shooting the Atomic after I got it all back together. I tried a lot of different pellets as well as some slugs. Just to give you a few, I tried the H&N Field Target Trophies. Those are, I think, 14 grains. They did okay. I tried the JSB redesigns in 25 grain. Those seem to do pretty well. I did the 18 grain Range Masters, which did really well. And then I tried the Daystate Howler 20 grain slugs, and I was really surprised at how well they did. Obviously they're going quite a bit slower than the pellets, but the accuracy was definitely there. You know, I realize it's not very far, but again, this is a lower powered gun that most likely we're going to be using, you know, at the very most out to about 50 yards, or at least that's what I'd probably be using it for, because it's nice for, you know, around the farm, around buildings, where you want something with some lower power. I really wanted to make this video just to motivate you guys to get out, have some fun. You know, if you want to change the color of your gun, take it apart, change it, spray paint it. It's just paint. It can come off, you can paint over it, make it your own. And that's what I really think is the beauty in having a little gun like this is, you know, they're durable, they're pretty maintenance free, they're simple to work on. If I can do it, you know, pretty much anybody can. I'm by no means a very mechanical person by nature. You know, I'm a videographer, I'm a hunter, I like the outdoors, but when it comes to working on air guns, you know, I'm definitely not the most technical person, and so I'm pretty happy that I was able to kind of tackle this project and see how everything functions. And I learned a lot getting the gun back together. As I mentioned, I had a bit of a hang-up with the trigger group, but with some trial and error, I was able to get it back together, and I was able to make a small improvement with the trigger. And I'm definitely impressed with this gun. It's very well made, it's very durable, and I'd say, considering all it's been through, the $70 is kind of a drop in the bucket as far as replacing the shroud and the end cap. And you guys saw the gun, you know, performs fine without those two things. But it would be nice to get a moderator on here to quiet it down. And cosmetically, I think the gun will look a lot better with the dust cap. Shockingly, you know, I really was surprised that the gauge here didn't at least crack the plastic on the face here. That's really shocking to me, considering all this gun has been through. I didn't have to replace any of the O-rings. You know, I put it back together and the gun held air just fine. So I'm pretty impressed with the durability of this gun. It definitely is awesome. You know, people complain about the price, but I gotta ask them, you know, how many other guns do you know that can get run over, dragged behind a truck, dunked in a jacuzzi, and thrown off a cliff and still function? I highly doubt there's many that could do that. I really kind of have to look at that. You know, I'd say the money is well spent on something that can handle that much abuse. In the future, I'm definitely not going to worry about dropping it. I'm going to probably worry more about the glass on top. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video and you guys found some entertainment in it. We had a lot of fun making it. I really appreciate you guys and all the support you've given to the channel, and we will talk to you guys soon.